Hello, hi. Let's need a sip of water. It's been, an early morning and I've been at a late night. I've been up at it, working away, but it was all a lot of fun and I learned something. So I'm following up with more of these, more workaholic, shopaholic, sexaholic videos. One with an exercise study, the last one. All right. So the 2008 economic meltdown. As you all know, Canada kind of avoided the market collapse in the which happened in the USA. And I read up on this because I don't come from an economics background, and so housing prices, but people invested in housing, and the housing prices just shot up, and people lost jobs, etc. And there was a Wall Street crash, and all the economics has not gotten into my head. So what happened was a limit cycle in mathematical terms, or a runaway reaction in chemical engineering terms. And what was needed, or what possibly was done by Jim Flaherty, who was the conservative finance minister of the conservative government in Canada then, was optimal control. So you have process variables, so which are like mortgage rates and housing prices, etc. Control variables, which are interest rates. So then it was, I got all this in my head, but it was still an uphill battle. All right, putting down each of the parameters present, each of the variables present. All right, so I considered cost of houses varying between what we paid and what the market value is in our neighborhood at this time, mortgage rates, mortgage payments. Mortgage rates is, the percentage of mortgage rate you pay, mortgage payments every month, so for a period of time. All right, so what came in handy was I have to acknowledge this before I continue further, the Dominion Lending.ca mortgage payment calculator. So I used their calculator twice, for the lower rate of interest and for the higher rate of interest, which, as an inequality which I was considering. So what was my goal here? To maximize GDP, gross domestic product, despite the market fluctuation and market variability, and minimizing interest rates. Interest rates meaning um, interest rates of borrowed money uh, from my bank, from the central bank. So treasury goes to, so here I have a little map. Treasury is a little arrow, chart, flow chart. Treasury GDP, or maximum, of course, as always. Central banks interest rates minimize, so this maximize. So our bank has allotted and borrowed money from the central banks, of course, to stay, to stay in business. So number of houses I was considering is 25. So let's say this neighborhood, through the years, but it's been many years. Market rate wouldn't fluctuate all in one shot. So we paid about $401,500. So roughly $400,000. But 1.5, 1,500, important value. Got to keep it in mind. So here goes. So here is the breakdown. So this is the constraint. All right, this is the interest rates on borrowed money by central banks. So I took point one. I got the feedback never zero from the mortgage calculator as well. Point one is less than is less than or equal to 3. So this is a control variable. All right, because this bank, our bank, the central bank operates our bank. So the lower the interest rate, the better of chance we have of getting comparable mortgage payments, easier mortgage payments for nicer housing, upscale neighborhoods. So increased government spending. So supply meets demand. Supply is less than or equal to. So I've taken all these as x1, x2, x3, t period of time. So X4 or GDP, either way, first 55 billion supply is less than, or back then, Now it's gone up to, but with borrowing money. But remember, I've done all my optimization, engineering optimization work on my LinkedIn page. I followed it up with more linear programming and that sort of thing. Is less than GDP, or X4 is less than or equal to demand. Let's say back then, 2008, it was 60 billion, and they came up with only 55 billion. So this is also a control variable, optimization and optimal control variable, and money coming into banks. So that, more money will increase government spending to meet the market demand. They increase government spending, money coming into banks. They built more housing, bought more stuff, to offset the drop in lower value. Spending economy makes more money. Be a spender, never a borrower. Well, I have to pay off my credit card debt, right? Yeah. And so this is the so this is X1. So this is less than or equal to 1.5 million. Average cost of houses in upscale neighborhoods, our neighborhood. Going back in time to then, now you can't get it at this price now. Okay, so this is mortgage rates, 2% less than or equal to, is there less than? So this, of course, inequality, this comes here, and X2 becomes less than or equal to 1.5. So this goes here. So mortgage payments, so 0.02, and I considered only this value, 1700.16, and 7, because I can't use the mortgage, however nice they are, they would get upset. So many values, right? Because I was doing it in Excel, MS Excel. So X3 is this is X3. So this is this is not a value. This is how I considered it with interest rate, as an interest rate. So this is wrong. Mortgage is not an interest rate. So I have not considered in the end. So T is less than or equal to 5. I considered 5 years. Pay or salaries for all the people involved in this whole process. All right. So, and last, number of houses. So the final function was I star GDP 25, N equals 25, number of houses in the neighborhood. So we are considering only 25 houses. X1 minus of X3 star T. So X3 is mortgage payments and period of time. Rates would come in mortgage payments. Mortgage rates would come in mortgage payments, right? Yeah. And calculating this in Excel, what did I come up with? Right, I'll give you two values. Okay, let's open this file. Oh no, this is no good. We'll see the other one. Maybe. All right, this is all good. So I considered X1 scale down, of course. So it took a scale of 1 is to 1,000. So from 50 to, I went up to, all right, iterations, right? You remember iterations? All those chemical engineers out there. So to 1550, which is 1,000, so 1.55 million. All right, so that's what it went up to. So from and here X2 fixed. Well, I took two rates, 0.02 and 0.035, and sort of for some values, about 8 values, I took 0.02 fixed, X2 fixed, and for the rest of them 0.035. So it's not low. I should have subtracted the 2, but I just took the, I should have subtracted the 2, right? 0.035 minus 0.02. What would I have gotten? But I wanted an upper limit and a lower limit on it. So on this one, so X3 fixed, again, 2 mortgage rates, So if it's really low, I was just curious, 0.02 rate of interest, 1,700 payments per month, 0.035, 7,489. But this is, so it just shoots up. So that's on the upper limit, I think. Yeah, upper limit for 1.5 million. Give me a second. 1.5 million. Yeah, that's right. So here. So this is for 1.5. I should have just, but that would have been cheating too, subtracting the inequality. But I took a couple of variables here, and I control variable. 0.1, it went up to from 0.1 to, went up to, so in all, I had 31 iterations, 3.1, 0.1 to 3.1. And so if you know Excel, it's, once you get this down pat, no errors. All right. The cell number has to be right, etc. Otherwise, it goes blank. So HDP, again, GDP, so HDP, housing domestic product. Well, that's what I'm doing, home domestic product right now. Yeah, GDP, gross domestic product, home from home. GDP is coming, working from home. GDP 1:1 million scale. And so 1:2, so that would be 200 million to, I went up all the way to 6.2 billion. Oh, yeah. And what did I get? So just so x1 minus, we'll skip x1 minus, just the final value, I star GDP star n. So with a total of 25 houses in the neighborhood, and an I of 2.02, and I of 0.0, where did I 0.12, what did I take it up to? 0.12, 3.1, I got. So I haven't considered salaries, etc. Salaries, more, housing costs come in that housing. So that's what the country invests in housing, which is a necessity, which is a basic necessity, right? Food, clothing, and shelter. So the primary requirements. So it would be interesting as a challenge. You should do food, just your average weekly, and so for 0.02 x2 fixed, I have at x1 is what? X1 is at 400,000 cost of house, 400,000 roughly, with roughly what we paid, 3.2 E plus 10, which is well, I haven't written the scale here, which is 3.2 no scale here, 3.2 billion, which is 32 billion. The 0.02 400, yeah, 32 billion. And I'm going out of 450, yeah, 32 billion. So you get so much of money, all right, GDP with only 25 houses, but upscale neighborhood, right? I mean, a lot of cost, got to keep the infrastructure going, got to clean the snow off the roads promptly, on at the right time. They can, with the money they make from this neighborhood, they can offer. We have a corner plot. Sorry, city councillor. I seem to sort of sound a little aggressive here, but we have a corner plot, and sometimes my husband, well, he's not quite the gentlemanly husband I would like him to be. Doing, my lady, I shall be shoveling the snow while etc. Because I fought for these rights, right? I'm an engineer. I said equal work for equal pay. So I end up shoveling. It's a vegetarian and etc. And but last time I was shoveling, I thought the railroad was built like this. The convicts shoveling stuff onto the railroad path and etc. So lastly, with 3.1 the lending money from the central bank to my bank, and 1.55 million cost of housing. It's you would get 20, but all 25 houses cost so much. 448. So this goes out for 480 billion. 480 billion. You need figure, eh? Yeah. So that's and this is in t equals 2, t equals 5, and that's why so much of housing buildup. All right, the market collapsed in the US. So all these 1.5 million houses settle for 150,000 houses, and live your life well, don't go into debt, so that's also a nice wise lesson. So yeah, so that is what I did today. All right, so that so people got greedy, housing and etc., and the market collapsed in the US 2008. So maybe Jim Flaherty controlled the control variables, US Treasury to central bank. I think, is it allotted? Even I'm not sure, but I think that central banks, and then central banks to banks like ours, they control variable I, control the I, dictated terms as the finance minister. And who knows, at this time, Prime Minister Carney, with a stronger background in economics, year once, all right, year once, grade two, year three, and he will guide, see to it. But a lot of housing on Queensway and everything, lots of condos, they're all very expensive, $3,000 and etc. And, that's not what things should be anyways. But that's not for me to worry about. Somebody else's. So that's done. I will move on to my sexaholic portion. Shopaholic portion. Well, you can hardly call buying the newspaper a shopaholic. My husband pays for the subscription. But this is Annie Lennox, her album Diva. Sweet Dreams Are Made of Thee, which is a nice song. And so she was all about substance and not about style. And Madonna was all about style then, the glamour queen, was all about style. So I watched a song, everybody, and she was sensational. Madonna, such a sexy voice. I thought I would play a little bit of the song, but then maybe you should enjoy it. I looked up a magazine which said, from the library, which said, and the magazine is give me a minute. I have it written down. The magazine is the story of Madonna, the queen of pop. And so for everybody is an early sign of the genius to come. Its chorus is incredibly catchy, and Madonna's two voices, the high-pitched bubblegum wail and the low sultry moan, mark her out as a rather different talent. So that is what the magazine has said. And I listened to everybody. You should listen to everybody. Nice, really good dance. I mean, you're considering I think she was from the East Coast. I'm not positive on this because of the dress, completely all cloth, winter, I guess, very sexy, she looked awesome. This was years ago, though. I mean, she has a daughter now, grown-up daughter, 28, and I'm positive, from a certain angle, I look like Madonna. You really should see this about me, Madonna in maybe darker light, because she has light-colored eyes, and everybody says that's kind of what what pleases me, and what I would like bad, because all of us like to be bad girls, right? Not a lot. Engineering you couldn't be, because the boys would see to it that we were fixated on our engineering subjects, but here and there we would pass scandalizing statements. Like, I always said, I want to be somebody's mistress, not get married honestly, that sort of thing, but I never did. So that sort of thing, scandalizing, totally, with a bunch of my mother's relatives or somebody, and they'll be saying Chaya, and once in a while a little bit here, more with the men, so they would joke about it, tease you and that sort of thing, uncles. Yeah, good old uncles. My son, all the shocking things they say now. The girls, really pains me in a way because my uncles were really nice. Little bit here and there, but with the odd experience, but nothing really leaving a lasting mark. Not from uncles, but my son used to say that lollipop and etc. The uncles say that's what you see on posted on social media, and I'm surprised because the life has changed so much. That's all. Every girl has a different experience and that sort of thing. But mostly uncles are very nice, genial, for friendly, loving people and that sort of thing. Anyways, okay, that I have to say, Annie Lennox style. What is it? Shopaholic. Hi, Bart. Rolling Stone. Who's on the cover? Bruce Springsteen. His movie's here, and I have to say this about the best quote I've seen. All right. The best quote. Best quote. Let's get to the page. Here's some. Oh, the magazine changed the issue. His, about his song. I was blinded by the light, and he says, "Oh, I have to make dog ears on pages. I think it's very nice. I recommend you buy the magazine because then you would know which right song to Oh. Oh. See, okay, I won't take away all his quotes. Just one. All right, blinded by the light. I made a song like his song Ramrod about my past leased car. I don't even drive now. Sad, isn't it? Blinded by the light. So this is So he said he wrote it with a rhyming dictionary in one hand and a notebook in the other as a sort of coded autobiography. I wanted to get blinded by the light. I wanted to do things I hadn't done, see things I hadn't seen. Isn't that beautiful? One more. All right, all right. So he was singing about his bandmates in the line, all the love I've thrown away and lost. Isn't that nice? You would think if it's about about a member of the opposite sex, but it was all actually about his bandmates. And all right, I will let you enjoy this. It's just 14.99. I'm going to study all the songs, maybe buy a CD. All right, because you can't just listen to songs from a magazine. Got to get a CD, right? And then who knows, someday I'm going to sound like Bruce Springsteen, but that wouldn't be quite right. I should sound like Madonna. Let's see. All right. I never get the right beat, Never get the right beat. But this is great. This is just simply great. Chet Baker. Oh, I'm sorry. Just a second, we listen to him. I love to listen to stars right now. Sorry, I'm sorry. For want of Polish music. Going back to my sexy sedan days, those were the days with my child son in the back, in the car seat, and later strapped with the seat belt on. This is how the story of my lease Mazda protege goes. But daddy's there in his Volkswagen Passat, which he lent me to drive on the racing track. The highway 401, 416, 417, revisited 9 times in 3 months. And highway 417, 416, 401, with my child son in the back, singing with me these songs of liberation, these songs of liberation, a Bob Marley style, are all I will ever have. A working engineer song. In full gear, racing in a V4 engine, my child's son saying, "Mommy, let's go to the Mooney's Bay, where the beach is a beach." In cool denim, myself and my child's son in swimming trunks and a Hawaiian shirt, saying, "Let's go for a hike in Gatineau Park tomorrow, for Bob the Builder is done building his car, and Dora the Explorer with Boots the Monkey is done outfoxing Swiper. Come to me, Daddy, for I want to feel the quote-unquote hot rod race inside my racing track." Was it my heart? I say, hit the gas pedal going gently, and then zoom until the brakes come on. Give a big hand of applause to the music orchestra, opera, this is Polish music. By next time, if I play it, I'll let you know. All right, thank you.